So this episode is going to be... Wait. This episode is going to be a different one to the ones I posted before. Because this time I'm just by myself. I got asked many times to finally tell why am I doing this and what is my intention behind it, and to give a small introduction about what this is all about. And so after finally getting convinced that some people want to hear this, here it is. So starting from like summer 2018, where it started with the whole thing, I at that time was working for an online business, and I needed more human connection, more deep conversations, exactly what I have with the podcast and with the people I interview. So I really felt that I need this. And then based on that need, I also asked myself, okay, what do I want to do this about? Like, what is the intention behind it? And I think I started off with just asking a friend to kick off the first episode to get it going. But it quickly turned into going into a specific direction. And this direction is, going really deep into rooted problems of, I guess, any human being who want to either change something or want to go after their dreams, basically. And so what I encountered there on the way, or just like with friends and other people I just observed, is that just we as humans have all these stories in our head, and repeating those thoughts which are coming more and more often. And all this was happening also obviously to me. And especially prevalent was that back in the school days, when I was genuinely convinced that I was too stupid for the high school and too stupid to get good grades there, or like even make or going into the next class. And I think it was the 9th grade to the next one. And so this belief that I was really cognitively not smart enough to actually do that, I guess really hindered me to search for options, search for things to actually improve things I do, or how I learn, how I think about myself, and just like with an open growth seeking mindset into those things. And so it happened that, I guess, throughout the whole ending of my high school journey, I was still thinking that, and obviously did not help me to achieve the grades I kind of would like to have, or a good diploma in this sense. However, after that phase, I started to think maybe there is something. Maybe I'm missing something. There must be something that I, at least, even though I'm stupid, I still can improve the techniques I use. I can still manage to cope with that a bit and find something that it doesn't seem to be as bad. And what then out of this resulted was that I was actively seeking advice, actually most of them through the internet, through online classes I saw or visited, any videos I was watching. All those things were getting together and starting to change the mindset I had. Obviously really slowly, but I just started with the things like, how do humans learn? How can I improve this? How can I speed read those kind of things? What do routines do to our brain? What does maybe meditation does and can help us with? And so this started slowly adding up all those things I learned and researched, because I was just curious, I guess, curious to find out more about these things, and how can I go around my stupidity to to still have the things I really wanted to have. And so it started to add up, in the sense that I learned how to learn. That's those kind of things what you're not told in school. So all these memory techniques, how to do stories, how to connect them with pictures, how to do the method of Loki, how to just like remember your grocery shopping list, or those kind of almost stupid things. I started to learn. I started to train, to repeat, and eventually it got easier and easier to do those things. And between the high school and then when I started to go to university, was that I had also still a gap year, or like a gap 6 months in Australia. And at the end of these 6 months, I was really hungry to learn something new. I was genuinely interested to learn something about human psychology, like how we think, how we interact, what we can learn from that. And this hunger of really, or this thirst of new knowledge was obviously really helpful as well to get new knowledge. And so I started from having these doubtful thoughts of me being not intelligent enough, me being not able to actually achieve something great there because of my intelligence, but rather only, like solely, because I got some techniques. And this actually also started to bring me some fruits, how you want to call it. So when I started in university, the first 2 exams, I think I still did the same pattern of writing everything down and writing down those summaries and learning them like kind of by heart, even though in psychology it's quite a lot. So you just try to learn as much as you can. Well, it kind of worked. The grades were okay-ish, like somewhere in the middle. And I like used a lot of time. And then from the 3rd exam on, I was just frustrated because I didn't want to spend so much time on just studying for university. So I thought there must be a way to change that. And then luckily remembered all the techniques I used before. And so I used the 3rd exam completely as a test, completely going from writing down everything, every single word I want to remember, towards writing down nothing. Might be a quite extreme method to use, but I did not write down anything for the next exam, but instead used all the memory techniques to really just implant the knowledge or the stories, the information in my head, with mostly making stories actually. So putting those information into a funny, extraordinary story and try to remember those, or like those keywords putting somewhere in a picture that I could remember. And similar sound technique, or just something, those kind of things putting together. And so this 3rd exam was actually the best one I had so far. So it was far better than the other ones. And actually I used quite less, not quite a lot less time, but it was definitely faster than doing all the other things, doing all the learning by heart and writing everything down. And so from that on, obviously, I used only this method. I did not write down anything anymore, and just try to implant all the information just in my head, instead of writing it on a paper and then trying to somewhat screen it into my head. So and then I guess there was a big leap from obviously also my self-esteem starting. And so from this point on, I started to get into the top 10% of the study, which is something I wouldn't have never dreamt of before I started the study. And so this was a huge thing for me. And yeah, I guess since then I started to gain more and more self-esteem, more and more um, actually trust in myself, in this sense, and now realize that those beliefs that I had before, the things that I was generally too stupid to even get the high school diploma, I thought, and all the other things afterwards, or like actually before in school, I thought obviously the same thing, and this showed me, or now shows me, that this was super, super harmful. I was holding myself completely back. I was basically trying to not get forward for no reason. I have no clue, actually, no clue where this thought came from. Obviously, my grades weren't good, but I don't know. It still doesn't make sense to completely blame it on yourself. But I guess that's how I was back then. Yeah, so this taught me, obviously, that I have, or I had, and still have those kind of limiting beliefs in all other areas. This thing, for example, the making this video is also one thing that I didn't want to put myself out there with the story because of things going on in my mind. But yeah, I now generally believe that there is much more that I can, and I guess you too, obviously, because you also have some fears, some doubts about yourself. I haven't met any person yet, at least, that didn't have any of those. And so with the podcast, the intention of that is that I now want to find those people who fought or still fight these beliefs, or overcome them, at least in certain areas, with with their story, with their own origin, yeah, kind of original, but more their story, that it really happened to them and that changed them most of the time tremendously. And I always get such a boost out of that when I watch some videos about it. I don't know, even like those transformational videos from people who change their like diet and sporting habits, and within 1 year have tremendous change. But all this obviously starts in the head. It starts with fighting their limiting beliefs, or maybe fighting their stigma of not being sporty. And when then working out, obviously they get more active and more sporty. So that's kind of the goal I want to have. I want to find those people who have even stronger stories than I have, like stronger than from not being, or thinking, from being stupid to actually achieving something because of going around those limiting beliefs. And yeah, I generally believe that you can get inspired by those people, obviously, as I do, for example, as well. So I guess the main intention was not only to share this and to make others also inspired and moved by it, but obviously also for myself, because I now know that this has such a huge influence, and I use it obviously for myself. So I seek now people who I also find super inspiring and super interesting to talk to, because they have such a story, and they fight or fought their beliefs and the things that were holding them back. And so for me, it is super helpful, and that is also a reason why I even started the podcast. And if that is also helpful for you, I just share all these stories I get from those people, because that is just the easiest thing in the world, just to push the record button and then send it out to other people who might also find it inspiring. And so, yeah, I hope that with this podcast, I can just, to be honest, just one person is tremendously satisfying for me if I can help one person to make one step forward in the direction they want to go, in the direction they are holding themselves back. And of course, there has to be some securities in some areas, and I obviously cannot speak for all areas there are, but I do think that there are areas which you're not, or I am, and I guess you as well, not going to, because of either some fears, but also, of course, these are thoughts coming up to your head, or limiting beliefs, in the sense that you don't do those things. And yeah, I hope maybe I find a story that resonates with you and helps you to go a step forward in this direction, and yeah, give you some inspiration. That would be great if I could do this for a person, and that maybe continues as well. So yeah, obviously I started because I wanted to do it also for myself, to fight them. But if I can share it with another person and they can get the benefits out of it as well, that's why I do the podcast publicly. So yeah, if you obviously like to follow that, or my journey of, basically my journey of constant improvement, of challenging those beliefs and thoughts I have, just subscribe to the YouTube channel, to the iTunes, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you like, wherever you want to follow, or even on the Ambitious Sloth website. So all the links are obviously somewhere in the description, and you can easily find them, or they pop up or something like that. So yeah, if you find that helpful, just follow and see where this story brings me, and maybe you as well. So yeah, have a awesome day, and I hope you watch one of the other episodes and they resonate with you, and you get something good, positive, inspirational out of this.